Bam! Jayson Waller here with the BAM Podcast. That's right, Business and Money Podcast. You want to make money? You want to conquer business? You want to go ahead and get that mindset right to take you to the next level and level up? You got to listen to the show. We're going to have all kinds of guests on there, billionaires, millionaires, athletes, actors, you name it. We're going to have them on here. They're going to be talking about their success, their struggles, their life, their hardship. I'm going to talk about my success, my struggle, my life, my hardship. So tune in. BAM! Welcome to the BAM Podcast. That's right. Business, attitude, and money. Top 5 podcasts for entrepreneurship, motivation. I appreciate all the listeners out there on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you get your stuff. I appreciate you following here with Jayson Waller and the BAM Podcast. I've got some cool, unique guests here today. These ladies are crushing it in the real estate game. They have got a bomb-ass podcast called Blondes Building Equity, and it is Kinsey and Jessica. They are crushing it right now in real estate. How you girls doing?
We're doing great. How are you?
Good. Hopefully that intro was solid, right? I try to bring the energy. You guys are in Cali right now, right?
Yeah, we love your energy. I was just thinking I got to step up my podcast intro because that was incredible.
I appreciate that. You know, when people think, who the fuck, who's this guy, right? When they're listening to it on the radio or on their phone, they're like, holy shit. So I like to just keep it real, keep it natural. I talk really elevated. People think I'm yelling. I'm just passionate and excited. So listen, I was checking out your guys' podcast. It's really cool. It's unique. I was telling you guys before we started that I've got 3 daughters. I'm a girl's dad. I get it. And I'm always intrigued by real estate. I am super intelligent at building companies. I've built 4, super intelligent at scaling, digital marketing, branding, all of that, right? But when it comes to real estate, like I struggle. Me personally, I'm always like trying to learn from real estate specialists, and picking your guys' brain right before we started was really cool of how you guys have done this. You guys have done over $5 million in flips, which is huge. And I've got my daughters like, I want to get into real estate. And I've got listeners out there that are looking to take it to the next level, to, level up in life. They're scared to take chances. They're always sitting tight. I kind of want to talk about not only your guys' success, but how you guys met and your journey to really do this, because it's risky. I mean, it's hard to be a real estate investor. So I want to talk about what it was like a handful of years ago, and you guys decided, hey, you know what, this is what we're going to do. And how did you put those blocks together? So whichever one of you ladies want to start.
So we actually started when we were 19 or 20. We got our real estate license, and I got mine first. And I met Kinsey, and she saw me as a real estate agent, and she was like, oh my God, I've always wanted to be a real estate agent. So she got her license and we joined forces.
We weren't really friends either at this point. We were introduced from a mutual friend that was like a very, very successful person we looked up to, and said, holy S word, you guys are so driven. You girls got to meet each other. Like, he knew us both and was like, I've never met 2 girls. Like, you guys have to meet. And then we ran into each other like at this event. And I was like, are you Jess? She's like, are you Kinsey? I was like, I've heard so much about you. Fast forward 2 weeks later, I'm like, I want to get my real estate license like you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
So we weren't friends first.
Yeah, we started as business partners, and we're in real estate for a couple years, and then just decided around a year and a half ago to get into investing full time. And now we've done $5 million in flips
in the year and a half. And it's been a roller coaster, but what we've seen from it all is if you can find a good business partner that holds you accountable, that could be, it can make or break you, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Let's dig into the flips, right? So my wife loves interior design, and I feel like she spends so much money. When we buy a house, she tears it down to the stems, adds all this shit into it, and it's a miraculous, wonderful home, but we've totally lost our ass on it. It's not really investing. And I'm always like, can you do that like at other people's houses? Because, buying a $4 or $5 million home and dropping $4 or $5 million, it to me doesn't make sense. But she loves it and she's excited about it. So slowly she started to be like, hey, I really like this. Like, maybe we buy some homes and do that. For somebody starting out, what does that look like? Like, you guys get your real estate license. You're like, all right, we want to invest and do these flips. What does that look like? Like, do you start with like a $200,000 home? Do you start with a $500,000 home? How do you budget what you put into it? Explain some of that for the listeners.
Well, I want to touch on what your wife did, because I think that's really, really common. And I think there's a difference between being an interior designer and being a flipper. I'm so passionate about interior design. I'll stay up late at night. All I look at is expensive furniture and expensive finishes. But with our project, something that I've learned to master is replicating the expensive, because you're balling on a budget. And so my favorite thing to show our audience is how I made this gorgeous kitchen with finishes from Amazon. You know, everything I buy is from Amazon. I include my links. I show them all. We have prefab cabinets, and I'll layer the tile certain ways to give it this finish where, like, I've gotten 3 interior design jobs from our project, people walking in and being like, this place is insane. And little do they know, this is the cheapest tile on the market.
And it doesn't mean that it's cheap. Like, it's not bad quality. We're not flippers that like to use something that has bad quality because they think our name would be tainted in the future. But she finds things on Amazon
Great
that are
reviews
of the same quality, but not designer brand.
Yeah, so you're not throwing money away for a name. You're getting the same quality, but you're being unique and creative to make it pop and stand out where people are like, holy smokes, like, dude, this house is done amazing. How did you do it? And you stayed under that. How are you disciplined to stay under that budget? Because I mean, at least my wife, there's no frickin' way. Like, I'm like, no, she's like, I'm scared to give you a budget of this. It's like, she smokes it, but she's not doing it for money. She's doing it because of passion. She loves the home. I always wonder when you're doing it, you know, as a business, how are you so disciplined to stay in that budget?
It's a checks and balance system. Obviously, I have Jessica, who this isn't just my money. This is my partner's money, who I value very much. And so at the end of the day, I have to put my personal preferences aside and realize, am I going to get her the profit that we're working towards? Because if I start to get crazy with my interior design, I'm going into her pocket. And that's not something I feel comfortable with doing. And so you really have to remember that, like, okay, maybe that's going to look a little bit nicer, or you're going to like it a little bit more. But we've always seen, there was so many times that we looked at a project and we were like, oh, we want to add this, we want to add this. And we kept putting money into it, and it never showed in the resale.
Never added value.
Never.
Have you guys ever lost on a house? Have you guys ever lost on a house?
Yeah.
Yes.
What does that feel like?
We thought we were going to die. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. It doesn't.
Lots of tears, holding each other, picking each other back up. Like, well, because we bought this house with an easement, and we didn't have a lawyer look over the property. I mean, we're 26. We've learned so much, but we had no idea that this driveway is a shared driveway, and now our beautiful prime location West Hollywood house has no parking. How are we going to sell this $1 million home with no parking? And that, we realized a parking spot in Los Angeles costs $250,000. And we took that loss, and gut wrenching, wanted to jump off a cliff, but it was a lesson we learned, and we just realized so much through it all. And I think in the beginning of flipping, you're on top of the world and you want to crush it. And I'm telling her, let's do 20 projects a year that are $1 million. You know, I'm so crazy. And then you realize, like, for any new flippers, we are so cautious with our girls in our community. We are so cautious. We run their numbers with them. We're like, especially in this market, it's a very, very big possibility you're going to lose money. This is not what it seems like online, where every deal is going to make you $500,000. And so we really push people to be a lot more cautious. And I'm so glad we lost money, or else I would have been balls to the wall, all in, and probably could have gotten us in a worse situation.
Yeah, I think losses are important sometimes. I hate to say it that way, but that's how we learn. If you're just winning, you're not learning. If you're just freaking crushing it. Yeah, it takes you to.
All the time we're like, we were going to make $300,000 profit on that house, and if we would, we were in escrow, and we were killing it a lot of time. 5 months all in on this project. We were in escrow, going to close in 2 weeks. The easement comes up, we fall out of escrow. If we would have made that $300,000 that easy, it would have been the worst detriment to us ever, I think.
Yeah, I think if success comes too fast and you don't have the bumps, trust me, I get it. I've been there. I understand it. I agree. You learn from the losses. You lick your wounds. You go out and you're like, hey, I'm not going to do that again, right? And some people would have quit after that. They would have said, okay, this isn't for me. I'm scared to take that loss. So you guys stayed resilient and committed, which is very, very important. Your first deal, tell me about your first deal. What did it cost? What did you put into it? What did it look like? Do you remember? Obviously, I hope you remember your first deal. I know you guys have done a lot, but that first deal is the one that's like, okay, we get it.